Water is drying up in many parts of the country due to the dry season, and the situation is making it difficult for the Ghana Water Company to adequately supply the commodity to many parts of the country. In fact, the Ghana Water Company says the situation has already caused a shortfall in water supply to most cities and towns in Ghana and describes the situation as serious. A number of measures have been introduced to prevent a full-blown crisis. We'll bring you details of the measures shortly, but first let's take you to Wager, where we have the biggest treatment plant here in Accra, and try to understand the situation on the ground. Komla Adom is on that beat for us.
On a daily basis, the Wager treatment plant produces over 29 million gallons of water for supply to many parts of Accra at full capacity. The plant, which sources water from the Densu water body, also serves multiple purposes for residents right across the banks. The Ghana Water Company says the levels of the water here at the Wager Dam has fast dropped. We are told this morning that water levels dropped to some 44.5 feet, and as a result of that, treatment of water is going to face some slight challenges. And we know that the activities of encroachers, builders, quarry sites, and even the fishmongers who work across the lake is affecting the activities of the water company. Every day, the water company spends in excess of 40,000 cedis in treating water from this dam site, which is onwardly distributed to parts of the capital, Accra. Told that the activities of encroachers is fast affecting the activities of the Ghana Water Company Limited in treating water and supplying to areas like Achimota, Kaneshi, the Central Business District, and many parts of the capital. So you can see the stone quarries, we understand settlement areas, the fisher folk, the fishmongers, their activities are heavily polluting the water body here, which is affecting the kind of treatment processes that the water has to go through for the Ghana Water Company Limited to onwardly distribute to persons or consumers in parts of Accra. Here at the treatment plant, fresh water drawn from the water body is trapped and subsequently treated. The once clear water now looks like this. Green algae, water larvae, and other water plants have discolored the water, which authorities here tell me is heavily polluted. This is a raw water reservoir. It harvests water from the dam and then treatment processes begin. The settling plant receives fresh water for onward filtering and treatment. But sources at the Wager Dam reveal treatment of the water has become a lot more difficult due to heavy pollution from activities of fisherfolk, mongers, and residents who have literally taken over the banks of the water body. This is one of the pathways to the bank of the lake, where we are told that a lot of human activities happen. For example, washing. The fisherfolk also use this particular area to do their fishing expedition, while their wives and other women also engage in fishmongering. But the story of this particular area is that of heavy pollution. On our way here, there were evidence of human excreta lined up the pathway all through to the side of the water body. Heavy pollution, human excreta, and filth. Common sight here, right along the banks. All of these filth wash down into the water body, leaving it heavily polluted. From where we stand, we see some fisherfolk from a distance. I have to cross this portion of the water body to attempt to speak to them. But before I even get to them, these men run into hiding. This is one of the areas very close to the lake which sees a lot of activity, especially that of fisherfolk and fishmongers on a daily basis. But apparently, upon seeing some of the individuals who were here have just decided to run into hiding for whichever reason. This stretch from here all down the way there is the same water body from which the Ghana Water Company draws from to process and treat for distribution to households in parts of Accra and other areas. But this water body, heavily polluted, major causes of pollution are the activities of individuals who live and work around here. It was apparent, or rather evident, from here that these occupants who carry out activities along the water body know there's everything wrong about it, but they would not bother. Authorities here would not go on record, but we gather Friday morning armed security officials here warded off some fisher folk who were seen trespassing a demarcation given them by authorities. With the outset of a dry season, the water company says it is facing some challenges with water supply to parts of Accra as a measure to address the situation without leaving consumers without water. The Ghana Water Company says preservation of water will be key. Among others, consumers are advised to reduce use of treated water for watering lawns and operating washing bays, among others.
So what is Ghana Water Company doing to minimize the impact? Here's what you should do as an individual to help the problem. First, cease indiscriminate watering of lawns with treated water. And also you need to moderate the use of treated water for car washing through the use of buckets instead of using the taps or the pumps. Shut all taps when they are not in use. And all right, so whilst you shut the taps when they are not in use, of course, you need to moderate the use of treated water for car washing through the use of the tap. Shut all taps when they are not in use. That has already been said. That's also another way of helping to curb the shortage of water. Repair all leakages in your homes, like overflowing reservoirs and dripping taps and valves and so on, so that we can save some water. We can save them from wastage. Report all burst pipes and leakages immediately to the nearest Ghana Water Company Limited district offices, customer services, and they can get the problems fixed immediately. Those are some of the things you can do to ensure that we help the Ghana Company Limited resolve this issue. But Stanley Mate is a communications manager for the Ghana Water Company. He joins me in the studio. Good afternoon to you. Good to have you,
yes,
Stanley.
It's been a while.
I think I should say Happy New Year because it's the first time I'm seeing you.
Happy New Year to you too.
But we have only seen how the Wager Dam looks like, how we've been in the community, but I think you can help us appreciate how big the problem is.
Okay, so it is not just about Wager in Accra and not just about Accra alone, but it's happening throughout the country. So every region has a peculiar problem, but it all boils down to the fact that we are in the dry season and the water sources or the water resources that we abstract for production are dwindling very, very quick. And so that if we do not use water that flows through our taps wisely, and if we do not get early rains, then we will have serious challenges ahead.
What could be accounting for this? Because we know that since the president embarked on the Galamsey fight, we're told that some of the water bodies are being cleaned up. So we should be getting positive results instead of this one.
Yeah, it's true. The fight against Galamsey has yielded some results, but it is not also just about Galamsey, but it's about pollution of our river bodies. It's about clearing the vegetation around our river bodies, thereby exposing the river bodies to the vagaries of the weather. Now, because of the dry season, the exposed rivers keep evaporating at a very fast rate. Okay, so the rate of evaporation now is higher than hitherto it was. So, and then because people are cultivating the areas along the banks, we're exposing the soil such that there's wind and water erosion, which also sends the soil, the topsoil into the rivers, by silting them. So you see a river body and you assume that it's very deep, we have a lot of water. But the moment the water evaporates, then you realize that it is very shallow and we are unable to abstract enough for treatment. So the pollution is not only just about the Galamsey operations, but it's about human activities like farming along the banks, clearing or indiscriminate felling of trees also along the banks, and so on and so forth.
This is quite serious.
Now there's also fish farming. Which is also polluting our rivers, and especially on the Volta River. There's a lot of fish farming activities. What happens is that the feed that they use in feeding the fishes, I mean, some of them drip to enrich the alluvial soil. So then it speeds up the growth of water hyacinths. So you realize that now we are facing that challenge at our intake point, around our intake points, and the weeds now grow faster than hitherto. For instance, proud to the last 2 years, we're clearing water hyacinths once in about 2 years, but now we have had to do it about twice in a month.
Wow.
Yes, and what happens is that they all flow to our intake area, and then it impedes the rate of abstraction. So we are unable to abstract enough water for treatment. So it affects us seriously, and then we may sometimes have to shut down and to clear these water hyacinths. Sometimes we may have to hire divers to go and to weed them and all that. But the frequency of this clearing also makes cost of production very high, because the people really charge us for clearing the water hyacinths.
This is quite serious. So how is Ghana Water Company managing the situation? Because definitely, in as much as we appreciate this problem, we still also cannot live without water. So we're still expecting you to pump water through our taps.
What we can do currently is education, because we are not law enforcers. So we can only educate the general public to desist from such acts. We are supporting the Water Resources Commission, which has the sole mandate in managing our water resources. So by our own way, we are also supporting them, and then educating the general public. And we'll also expect that the media will also help in the education of the general public. I think the government is doing very well, because the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources is really working hard at that. The Environment Minister is also doing very well, and then the Lands Minister is also doing extremely well, which we all can attest to. And so all efforts are yielding some results, but we need to sustain that, because when water levels are low, and then these operations are rife, and then we see more pollution, because the pollution, when the water levels are low, then it becomes concentrated as well. The water becomes concentrated with the pollutants. So then it affects our treatment processes. All
right. Many thanks to Stanley Mate, is communication manager for the Ghana Water Company Limited. And he wants individuals to help the Ghana Water Company Limited to solve this problem, because the end result will affect the whole country. You know, we can't live without water. Thank you so much for coming.